Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and this one is for the Edison format. This is the format that I just started to learn about. I did a video last time on a Lightsworn deck for that format. Essentially, if you're not sure what the Edison format is, it's similar to how GOAT format is. You pretty much use the card list and the ban list from the I think it was the 2010 so they called it Edison because Edison in America was the last place to have, the only place to have the tournament that year. But anyways, this deck, I was going to build it in just regular, standard Yu-Gi-Oh! But I felt it would probably be way underpowered. It wouldn't be any good. And so I kind of held on to it for a long time. And I thought this format might actually be pretty good for it. So let's give it a shot. So anyways, this is all about bringing out the Sun Dragon and the Moon Dragon. And they kind of work off each other. If one is destroyed and the other one's in the graveyard, it brings it back. And so it kind of creates this loop. One of them brings it back, I believe, right away. The other one brings it back during your next standby phase. But still pretty good. Could be annoying for your opponent to get rid of. I mean, there are some outs to it, obviously, like if they have DD Crow, stuff in the side deck. But so most of the threats we're going to try to address. So anyways, let's get to the build. So this deck works off of a few key monsters. For instance, you have to summon the Moon Dragon, you have to have the monster Supe, and to summon the Sun Dragon, you have to have the monster Fire Ant Askater, I don't know, Fire Ant. We'll just call him Fire Ant. So there's a line of cards that are required. So we got our Supes here. That's the level 1. So they both require their own tuner and a level 5 on the side. So this one will require, he's a 1, so he requires a 5 to pull out the Moon Dragon, and then the other one, Fire Ant, also requires a 5 to pull out the Sun Dragon. So you got to pull out a level 5 monster or build up to the amount of monsters to synchro summon. So essentially the Supe, when this card is on the field and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon one Oracle of the Sun from your deck. Its attack is doubled, and it returns to the owner's hand during the end phase of the turn. So the Oracle of the Sun is this guy, which I put 3 of as well. So this one is sort of like a Cyber Dragon. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you could add to your hand one Fire Ant or one Supe. So you can see how they all kind of work together. The Fire Ant is when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you could select and special summon one level 5 monster from your graveyard. Its effects are negated and is sent to the graveyard during the end phase of this turn. So that would also be your Oracle of the Sun. So you can see he's a level 5, so they all work together to summon the Sun and the Moon Dragon. And to top off the last few monsters that this kind of set works with is this guy, Apocataquil, something like that. While this card is face up in the field, its level is 5 if you control a tuner, a face up tuner monster. So essentially you get one of these guys out and this guy becomes your level 5 to summon your Sun or Moon Dragon. And then when this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can select and special summon one Oracle of the Sun from your graveyard. So you can see how they all kind of work together to kind of bring out the Sun and Moon Dragon. So that's that part of the deck. Then I had to add in some extra support stuff, so I put in 3 Dekochis. I mean, this deck is pretty reliant on these combos, so you got to try and draw as many cards as you can. And one thing about the Edison format is it's not as easy to draw cards in this format. I mean, there are cards to do it. It's just that it's not as easy as, say, GOAT format where you have Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity. You know, you don't have those cards in this format. And, of course, Sangan to pull out any of your tuners, because he'll grab all your tuners in this deck. Even a Dekochi if you want. And to round it off, I put in 2 Cyber Dragons, because why not? It's a level 5, it fits with the theme. You could special summon them, then normal summon your tuner, and you can go right into one of your dragons, so it works well. And of course, in this format, you're only allowed 2 Cyber Dragons, so I can only have 2 in here. Now for the spells. So we're going to go with 3 instant fusions. Again, this is a synchro deck, so your instant fusions are going to be pretty critical for pulling off a synchro on turn 1. If you don't, even if you go first, your opponent's not going to have a monster on the field for your Cyber Dragon or your Sun Dragon, your Oracle of the Sun. So instant fusion is going to be your target for a level 5 monster. Then we got 1 for 1 because our there he is, he's Supe, he's a level 1, so this kind of gets you the Supe right to your hand. Again, I think you can only play 1 in this format anyways. Brain Control, another one of, you can steal your opponent's monster and synchro with it, or if it's just a bad monster, you want to get it off the field, you can Brain Control it and then tribute to summon your Cyber Dragon or your Oracle. There's lots of tricks you could do with Brain Control, even just be on the aggressive side, steal their monster and attack for game. All that kind of fun. Pot of Avarice, because you do run through this deck pretty quickly with monsters, especially with instant fusion. You're getting some fusion monsters in there, so you can pretty much just at midpoint shuffle everything back and draw 2 cards. And then I needed to go a little bit more on defense, so I threw an Enemy Controller. And I had another reason for Enemy Controller. This format, it's pretty big on banishing monsters and dealing with monsters. So these monsters, they're fine as long as they keep getting destroyed and sent to the graveyard. But you got to worry about cards like Dimension Prison and Bottomless Trap Hole, and things that can ruin your day. So Enemy Controller works as a defensive card. In some cases, you could put a monster in defense mode. Or if you have your Moon, say you special summon him and a Bottomless Trap Hole, as long as your opponent has a monster on the field, you can react with the Enemy Controller to tribute him, get him into the graveyard where he belongs, and save his neck. Whereas if the Bottomless went off, he would be banished, and that wouldn't be good. And then we do the same trick with the Book of Moon. Same idea. If you attack into a Dimensional Prison or something like that, you Book of Moon, you flip it face down. It's no longer going to get banished. These aren't going to really address things like Caius, obviously. Well, the Enemy Controller can, but not the Book of Moon. But, it's still somewhat line of defense. And then, of course, the one Mystical Space Typhoon. This was a format when MST went to 1, so you can only play the 1. So to substitute, I put in 2 Dust Tornadoes, because back row could really ruin you in this deck. You got to be really careful about the Bottomless Trap Holes and stuff. So I put in 2 Dust Tornadoes. I guess I could have put in Heavy Storm, but my original build, this is like the second build I've done of this. My original build had more face-up traps, continuous traps. So I didn't run heavy, but you could probably substitute out the Dust Tornado for heavy. Call it Haunted, self-explanatory, bring back a monster. And then I realized I needed some more defensive traps, so I put in the 2 Deep Prisons and 2 Bottomless Trap Holes to deal with your opponent's monsters. Mirror Force, Torrential, and Solemn, just to say no to any card that's going to really hurt you. So that's pretty much the build there. Pretty standard on the spell and trap lineup. Now for the synchro, well, the extra deck, we have the Moon Dragon Kila. So this requires 1 Supe. If this card is targeted for an attack, gain life points equal to half the attacking monster's attack. If this card on the field is destroyed, you could target 1 Sun Dragon in your graveyard and special summon that target. So I play 2 of those, 2 in the deck. Obviously, if you have 3, you can go 3, but I only own 2. And then we have the Sun Dragon Inti, which is the other one. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, destroy the monster that destroyed this card and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the monster's attack. If this card on the field is destroyed during the standby phase of the next turn, you could special summon 1 Moon Dragon. So they kind of keep coming back. They kind of keep bringing each other back. The Sun Dragon's obviously your boss monster. He's got the 3000 attack. He's the level 8. So we got 2 of those. And then for some regular lineup, we have Alley of Justice Catastor, Bryonic, to bounce cards if you need to. Goyo Guardian, really good in this format. He can run over anything. And like I said in the previous one, you go by his original text, not his errated text or new text where he has to be summoned by an Earth, which I think these guys are Earth anyways, but it wouldn't matter. So Black Rose to blow up the field if you have to. Stardust, everybody knows Stardust. Thought Ruler, and Colossal. Those are just my choices. You can feel free to put whatever you want in here. Then you need your fusions for instant fusion. So Ojama Knight, he's a 5. I think I got 2 5s in here. I just threw in Dark Balter, the Terrible. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you could instant fusion him and then he blows up, but I think you can just call it a Haunted if you really wanted to. And then a 4 Dark Fire Dragon and a 3 Flame Ghost, just in case you need to instant fusion into something else, because you do play a very, various numbers of levels, I should say, of your synchro monsters. And that's pretty much it. That's the deck. It's a pretty simple deck. It just your main goal or objective is to just get out the Sun and Moon Dragon and try and protect them to go for the game. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Throw some ideas if you have any. I always like to hear it. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.